This week we are going to learn a new concept in Photoshop. It is called layer mask, and we are going to use layer mask to make two projects. The first one is like this, and we will use layer mask to blend different pictures together to create a very interesting image. And the second one is like this, and we use layer mask to refine a selection, and we can make selection more precise even with hairy or fluffy object like this. So before we talk about the layer mask, I will talk to more basic tools first. The first tool is the brush tool. So it is this one. A brush tool is just a brush, so you can use it to paint colors on the canvas. And to pick the color, you can select it on the colors panel, or double click here to activate the color picker. So let me just select this red color here, and then we can adjust the brush size and hardness. So let me just put a random brush size here. You can just paint like this. And to make the brush size bigger, besides adjust it here, you can use a shortcut. It is the square bracket on the keyboard. So the left bracket is to make the brush smaller, and the right square bracket is to make the brush bigger. So it will be like this. Now let's talk about the hardness. So if the hardness is a very small value, and then the brush stroke is kind of soft like this, and if the hardness is very large, then it has a very sharp edge, and this one is kind of in between. We can also adjust the opacity and the flow of the brush. So let's try to make the opacity lower, and then the brush kind of become transparent. And something about opacity is that it cannot build up within one brush stroke. So no matter how many times I paint on it, it will be just 23% of the full color, but it can build up with multiple strokes like this. So that's opacity, and flow is kind of similar to opacity. Let me make it to a very small value, and we can see that it's also painting a quite transparent color, but different from the opacity, it can build up. So if you paint back and forth in the same location, it will slowly become a fully saturated color. So that is the brush tool. And then let's talk about the eraser tool. So eraser tool is here. Eraser tool is kind of similar as the brush tool. It has the brush size, hardness, and opacity and flow. It's all the same as the brush tool. And using the eraser tool, we can erase stuff. But there are two different possibilities. So right now, if we just open a picture in Photoshop, it will be automatically a background layer. So in this situation, let me make the eraser a little bigger. When we erase on it, it will be white. That is because the background color, like this one here, is white. But this is kind of confusing, so I always turn the background layer into a normal layer. So let's try that. Double click background layer and then click OK. So now it's a normal layer, and then let me try to erase it. then instead of the paint white, I'm actually deleting the pixels. So I kind of also showed this in last week's lecture. So when you see this checkerboard thing, it means the pixels are deleted and this part is see-through. So let's see what this means. Let me drag this picture to a different picture, like here. And as you can see, this part where I erased is see-through. It means those pixels are deleted and they are no longer existing. So if you like, you can erase in this document too. So I'm making the eraser a little bigger, and then I can keep erasing the parts that I don't want. Now let's try different eraser settings. So currently the hardness value, I made it 0. So it's like that. The edge is soft, and then if I make it 100, then it has very sharp edges. We can also adjust the opacity and flow. So this way you are actually making this part transparent instead of completely delete those pixels. Let me show this by dragging this one to a different picture. And you can see here this part is erased completely and this part is like only transparent.